So welcome everyone to the FinTech revolution. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dara Albright, and a little bit about my background. For a little over 2 decades now, I've been structuring Wall Street conferences, symposiums, roadshows, events that have literally brought thousands and thousands of issuers, investors, and financial services professionals together. And a little over 5 years ago, and this was now before crowdfunding was ever added to Webster's dictionary, and it was before P2P became a thing or a name. And at the time, the Jobs Act was really nothing more than a bunch of bills that were being tossed around the House Financial Services Committee. And I began organizing seminars in key cities across the country that would address this revolution that was brewing in financial services. And this revolution is brewing, okay? This is changing everything. It is changing the way we borrow, the way we lend, the way we invest, the way we raise capital. It's changing the way we save for retirement. It's reinventing currency. It's basically giving birth to an entirely new generation of financial leaders, tech-centric financial leaders. And tonight, you're going to meet these emerging FinTech leaders. And you're going to get to see some of the latest financial tools, technologies, products, and apps that are coming down the pike. And most importantly, we're also going to show you tonight how investors of all sizes, how businesses in all stages of development and growth, and how financial services providers of all echelons stand to profit from this new FinTech revolution. So in order to really be able to profit and capitalize on this FinTech revolution, we really need to understand what's driving it. I've been able to really, I think, pinpoint, really 4 key monumental events that I believe that are fueling and driving the FinTech revolution. First is that technological achievement is snowballing, and it is completely changing the game. It is changing everything. Now, regardless of whether you're investing in a conventional asset or you're investing in an alternative asset, regardless of whether you're using taxable dollars or you're using retirement dollars, technology has made micro and fractional investing cheaper, simpler, and more accessible. And by doing so, what technology has actually done is it democratized diversification. And diversification is proven to be one of the most important and effective strategies of modern investing. Here's a great quote that I think really captures the significance of micro-investing technology, at least from an investor standpoint. And this is from Blaine McLaughlin, COO of VIA Folio, which is another leader in the FinTech space. And Blaine says, most would agree that 100 different $20 investments are less risky than one $2,000 investment. However, in order to facilitate these investments across a number of different asset classes, the baseline cost of investing needed to first be driven down by technology and self-service. And it is this great technological achievement that has paved the way for micro and fractional investing to become an economic reality. But the truth is, investors aren't the only ones who are benefiting from diversification strategies. Issuers also benefit from possessing more diverse cap tables. And crowd finance, what that does is give an issuer an opportunity to build a large and impassioned and well-diversified investor base. And it's having this crowd investor foundation that I believe that will ultimately prove vital for companies in their ability to, to remain more appropriately valued based on their fundamentals, as opposed to being at the mercy of a handful of, the mood swings of a handful of mega investors. So I think, really interesting things happening on both sides. And what's happening now is that because of micro investing technology, diversification is no longer a luxury that only institutional or wealthy or deep-pocketed investors can enjoy. Nor is it a benefit that only actively traded large cap companies that are traded on New York Stock Exchange get the opportunity to benefit from. So I'm in the process actually now of publishing a series of articles really focusing on this micro-investing technology and its impact on diversification. And the first one I circulated out on the tables here, it's called Can Micro-Investing Technology Reverse America's Wealth Gap? And the next one is really going to focus on this theme and the significance of issuer diversification, because I really believe that both investor as well as issuer diversification, which is made possible by advancements in micro-investing technology, are going to have epic economic implications. So I think the second thing that's really happening that's really fueling the FinTech revolution is that we're seeing this transformation in global communications. Right? And this is all driven also by technology, but businesses, because of the world coming closer, businesses are no longer bound by geographical constraints. Products can now be sold to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Investments could be made to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Social media has made affinity marketing and affinity investing and crowdfunding possible. And the internet is increasingly cutting out the middleman. Now, you all know this is nothing new. This has been happening since the 1990s. We saw this in a lot of different industries, the record industry, we see in media, in journalism. But what's happening now is that it's really starting to reach financial services and in a really major way. And people are more connected now than ever before. Basically, our planet is shrinking. And I found this great quote from Mark Andreessen, who I just completely idolize. You know him, I'm sure, founder of Netscape, a renowned venture capitalist in Silicon Valley. But I also think he really is one of the greatest visionaries of our time. And he said, once you get instantaneous communication with everybody, you have economic activity that's far more advanced, far more liquid, far more distributed than ever before. And that is exactly what is starting to happen today. Now, I'm not really quite sure when he said it. I actually have to look at that, but that's exactly what is happening today. I think the third big event that's happening to really drive the FinTech revolution is that the rules are changing. Our entire regulatory landscape is completely changing. Starting the Jobs Act that was signed into law in 2012, it essentially took 80 years of securities laws and just threw them out the window. HR 2187, which is Congressman David Schweikert's bill to broaden the definition of the accredited investor. That recently passed the House. It still has got some ways to go, but it's going to have a significant impact on bringing more and more investors, giving them the ability to access alternative products. HR 4855 is the Fixed Crowdfunding Act. This is Congressman Patrick McHenry's bill. He was the original, as most of you know, the original sponsor of the original crowdfunding bill, and he actually implemented or introduced HR 4855, which I think is, upon passing, and it did pass the House recently by an overwhelming majority. It was like 400 and something to maybe 2. I mean, it was something really crazy. But I think what the most important thing that 4855 will do is that it will alleviate capital risk by encouraging both investment diversification as well as investor-based diversification. And then, of course, Reg A+. Now, Reg A+, I think, is a total game changer. Reg A+ was originally intended to enhance capital formation by helping smaller issuers go public. However, I think what's actually going to happen is that Reg A+ is going to play a more integral role in the creation of higher yielding fixed income products that will be available for the masses. And tonight you're going to see some of those. We have really the innovators in that space that have been using Reg A+ to engineer some of these products, and you're going to see what's happening there. I think what it really boils down to when you talk about the rules is that all the technological advancement and achievement in the world really is meaningless and means absolutely nothing without the freedoms to actually use it. So I think that the rules, it's really having a significant impact on the FinTech revolution. And then finally, I think what's really interesting that's happening, the masses are uprising. I mean, look at what is happening not only in this country, but around the world. I mean, we saw, even a couple of years ago, starting with the Occupy Wall Street movement, the Tea Party movement, revolts, overthrowing dictatorships around the Middle East. I mean, truthfully, people are pissed, and the people around the globe are really crying for financial fairness. They are demanding wealth equality. They want equal access to yield. They want investing control. They want the same chances to retire richer. They want crowd finance. They want P2P. They want these products. And you could see just by the growth of the industry that this is the future. This is the future of finance. Now, I know there are some skeptics, and especially if you've been reading the press recently, you would think that, P2P is over, FinTech is over. There's been a lot of recent turmoil in the industry. And yes, the industry is going through a pretty tumultuous time right now. All hell broke loose basically after the resignation of Lending Club's CEO. But I have to tell you this, although there are some out there that will tell you that marketplace lending, marketplace finance, online lending, online finance, FinTech, P2P, crowd finance, whatever you want to call it, they'll tell you it's a passing fad. It is not a passing fad. Just like the internet was not a passing fad either in the 1990s, okay? So I will tell you this, do not believe everything you read in the media. And in fact, you know what? Don't believe anything that you read in the media. That's true. The recent turmoil is exactly what progress is supposed to look like. That nothing goes in a straight line. There are hurdles along the way. There are obstacles along the way. They're what we learn from. It makes us smarter. It makes us better. It makes us stronger. This is all a good thing. And none of this is unexpected or surprising. I mean, we actually predicted this before all this industry mayhem really started. Jim and I, who you'll meet in a few minutes, we released a white paper that basically said, you know what? New leaders will rise. Some unexpected front runners will fall. And it's the businesses that will best be able to oblige the retail customer, adapt to these regulatory changes, and penetrate retail's $14 trillion retirement capital. They'll be the ones that prevail. And you know what? That is exactly what is happening. And we're so fortunate to have with us tonight some of these rising FinTech leaders who are really accomplishing just that. New leadership is emerging. We're seeing better fixed income alternative products being created. Tonight you're going to meet Brian Daly, CEO of Ground Floor. Ground Floor is based right here in Atlanta. It's the first and only real estate lending marketplace that's open to non-accredited investors. Ground Floor has been, they've been really, I think, on the forefront of utilizing some of the new legislation and regulations in engineering new fixed income alternatives for the masses. They started it with using the Invest Georgia exemption, which is our own crowdfunding law here in Georgia, and then escalated to using Reg A, and what they've done was create what's called an LRO, which is a limited recourse obligation that has been returning on average about 12% to unaccredited investors. Not too shabby when you think of where, what people are getting in a CD right now, or even in a bond fund, even in a high yield bond fund. Then we're going to meet you're going to meet George Newberry, CEO of AHP, American Homeowner Preservation. AHP is another groundbreaking platform that's utilizing Reg A Plus legislation to create meaningful social and financial returns for investors while keeping families in their homes. AHP investors average between 9 and 12% returns. Now, it's not only these new investment products that are starting to emerge. We're also seeing new gateways to bring you, to get you to these new products. So we're gonna meet Sally Outlaw, CEO of Worthy Financial. Sally, one of the pioneers in the crowdfunding industry, and also author, I think, of the biggest crowdfunding book in the space, right?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, okay. So Sally's true visionary and pioneer in the space, and she started Worthy. I think this is, it's an up-and-coming, game-changing app. I think it really is a groundbreaking app. It basically is going to let micro investors the ability to invest in their peers with a little help from major retailers. And it's ultimately redefining how Americans, especially millennials, save for retirement. And by doing so, what Worthy is really doing is ensuring that every consumer is converted into a saver. So you're going to see some interesting things there. Then next you're going to meet Jim Jones, CEO and founder of IRA Exchange. IRA Exchange is redefining retail retirement distribution. Jim has done a tremendous amount of work really behind the scenes, probably much more so than anyone in the industry even realizes, but in doing so much work in really developing new distribution channels and solutions to allow crowd finance not to be some shadow to the financial services industry, but rather the financial services industry of the future. And then finally, you're going to meet Erin Corral, who is the Director of Marketing at IRA Services. We're going to see, not only are you seeing these new gateways and these new products, we're seeing new retirement vehicles that are being developed that are more conducive to today's investor market. And IRA Services, just a little bit of a background, is an established leader in custodial services. 35-year-old trust company with $6 billion in assets under management. They essentially devoted the last 3 years and $10 million in developing technology to ensure that even the smallest retail investor can diversify their retirement portfolios across a wide range of platforms and asset classes. Their technology makes it simple and affordable to use retirement dollars to micro-invest. And by doing so, what they really have essentially have done was make what's called tax-deferred micro-alternative investing a reality. And I believe that it's this concept of tax-deferred micro-alternative investing, the ability to invest small amounts, the amounts that you would pay, we're talking about $25, what you would pay for your weekly Starbucks tab, to be able to actually use that and start diversifying and have a really properly diversified portfolio and use your retirement dollars to do that. It's game changing. And I think it's going to be critical towards thwarting a looming retirement crisis and narrowing our nation's wealth gap. And I think that's, what's happening. I think it's that concept of tax-deferred micro-alternative investing that is going to be the catalyst that really rights this ship. I really believe that these companies that are sitting before you today, this is the next generation of FinTech leaders, and they are going to right this ship. They're going to turn this around, and I think it's their ingenuity that will make 2016 be the year America reverses this escalating wealth gap. And in fact, I'm not even just believing it or thinking that it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And how do I know it? Go back to my website, read some of my old predictions. Pretty much everything that I have said has so far come true. And I'm beginning to think I am a little bit clairvoyant. I have not had an official diagnosis, so if anyone knows a witch doctor, just let me know at cocktails, because I really would like to confirm it. Now, speaking of predicting the future, I could not have picked a better day to actually launch a new FinTech event series. Okay, apparently, according to Susan Miller, who is like a renowned astrologist, today, August 16th, and I just picked this date randomly, this just totally random, but Uranus, and yes, that is how you pronounce it, so I just want to make that clear. Uranus is signaling the sun, and that favors future, all new inventions, and the entire digital world. Can you believe that? So with that, I do want to end this by saying the future begins today. And with that, I'd like to bring up our first speaker, Brian Daly.